Hey guys, welcome to another game brought to you by Firexfred. I feel a little bit like a company advertising something brought to you by me, Firexfred. But no, anyway, just a shoutcast by me, Firexfred. Like I said, today we're going to be having Jimpo up here in the top of Scrap Station as our blue Terran player. And over here as the pink Zerg, our buddy, our friend, our French buddy, Stephano. Over here on the right position, or the bottom position, sort of. It's sort of weird positions here. We'll call that the 3 o'clock. And we'll call Jimpo over here in the 12 o'clock position. So a little bit about the players. Stephano, of course, a French player from the team Millennium, with other such notable players as Adele Scott. Adele Scott, my favorite Protoss player, one of my favorites. It's kind of a tie between him and Liquid Tyler. Those guys are both just so good. And of course many other good Protosses out there on the scene right now. So, you know, don't tell them that I said that that Adele Scott and Tyler were my favorites. You know, they might hear about it and care at all what I think. LOL. But Jimpo over here, on the other hand, is a Swedish player, I believe. Coming from the team, hailing from the team SK Gaming. A little bit of a less known StarCraft 2 team, but definitely they were known for some Counter-Strike and some Warcraft 3. I'm not sure how much of that they do nowadays, but definitely they do have Jimpo on their team, and we do see that's hatchery coming down before the spawning pool for Stephano, which is very common on this map. Of course, I'm going to set myself to busy because I don't want to be bothered by that. And we also see the assimilator coming down before the spawning pool, so very bold. I believe this is actually a 14 hatchery, so Stephano really going to get a nice mineral advantage, as well as going to be able to get that speed very quickly. And we don't see any sort of 2 barracks coming down just yet for Jimpo. He might want to fast expand very quickly on his own, though he does have this gas already. So he's not going to do a super quick gasless expansion, but he might still do a pretty quick expansion, and that one Marine's going to try and chase this Overlord out of the way. That Overlord will probably be fine. But it might be a little bit close. We'll check back on that in just a second. A little bit of action over here with this SCV and this drone, and it looks like that Overlord will get away just fine. So this past Saturday I was fortunate enough to be able to go to a LAN here at my school at the University of Oregon, and it was absolutely awesome. I encourage you guys all, if you have a chance, to go to a LAN. It's really super fun. It's a lot different than just sitting at home playing, you know, in your pajamas or whatever. It's a little bit different. I was super nervous. You know, I was super nervous for my first game, but I won my first round, and then I lost to TvZ in the second round. TvZ can be such a pain. We do see the factory coming down, as well as a reactor for Jimpo, so he might be doing some early Hellion pressure, it looks like, as that reactor is going to switch out with this factory. If there were some scouting Zerglings up there, they could have had plenty of time to run in at that point, but he knew that all these Zerglings were over here chasing down his SCV to kill it. That poor SCV took one for the team, I suppose. Nice Overlord placement. I really like this. Jimpo trying to stop that Overlord from seeing into his base. But really, with your Overlords, you just want to put them around the map, especially early on. You know that there's not going to be any sort of Vikings this quickly, or anything like that. A little bit of a battle coming on here between some Hellions and Zerglings. Hellions usually win that battle, especially because speed is not quite yet done. That one Zergling trying to be a hero, running through some smoke, trying to get a last hit off. This Overlord does come in, and he sees that there is no second gas yet. So he knows probably, if he's being very intuitive, he'll know that this expansion here is going down, which it is, by the way, in case you didn't see me pointing at it. I hear a Marine firing somewhere. There he is, shooting at that Overlord. I did get a new mic, so bear with me if there are some weird sound problems, but it should be a little bit better sounding. And now some Hellions coming in, and they are going to be getting surrounded just a little bit by those Zerglings. They could have been fried a little bit. If Jimpo had a bit better of micro, he could have stopped that whole shoot and scoot thing, but this Queen was also there to try and fend those off. And remember that, what am I saying? Oh yes, on this map it's a little bit annoying to spread the creep down here, as it actually works a lot better over here, but that's a little bit of a map imbalance that Blizzard probably is going to fix at some point. But Anyway, a spine crawler coming down as we see the second orbital coming down for Jimpo, and an armory actually, so we might see some sort of, you know, some sort of upgrades possibly, or maybe going into some Thors possibly. So we'll see what he's going to want to do. Siege Tech is coming down, and a lot of Hellions are out here in the middle of the map, taking all forms of map control, as the only thing that Stephano would have right now for map control are those Zerglings, and they die so quickly to these Hellions. Some nice splitting going on there, but with these 3 queens and the spine crawler, those Hellions are not going to be able to get through very easily. And just droning up for Stephano for the most part. He's getting that Baneling nest. Baneling's surprisingly good against Hellions, in fact, because Hellions are of course light units and Banelings do that extra damage against light units. And we do see a Thor coming out, so that's a little bit interesting. We could be seeing some Thor play coming in, some mech against Zerg, which usually we definitely see a lot of siege tanks, and then later on when mutas come out we do see Thors, but not right off the bat like this. Usually it's a lot more infantry, so this Baneling nest that Stephano has put down is not going to be as useful as he would like. He's actually floating quite a bit of minerals there while he's using them fairly well, but getting a little bit supply blocked. I'd like to see him stay on top of that just a little bit better, but he is doing a pretty nice job of spreading this creep. Gonna get him a lot of vision on this map. Let's take a look at the income tab for just a little bit. 46 drones compared to the measly 37 SCVs of Jimpo, but of course he is mining more minerals because of the mules that he's able to drop. Really early game and pretty much all game long, mules are pretty safe to drop against Zerg, as there's not really any sort of scanning that needs to be done. We don't see a lot of burrowed roaches or burrowed infestor trickery that often. So, one Hellion taking this Xel'Naga watchtower, a couple Hellions taking this Xel'Naga, and pretty standard stuff coming in for all of our players. Now we see the Baneling speed, the centrifugal hooks coming in for Stephano, as well as that spire and the evolution chamber, and somewhere is a macro hatch, I believe. Here it is. Macro hatch, he just wants to be able to use all of his money. It's a pretty good idea to do once you have very good saturation on your main and your natural. You see that perfect sort of saturation there at his natural, and a little bit oversaturated at your main. The perfect saturation is 2 per patch, but at 3 per patch you do still get results, and after 3 per patch it's pretty ridiculous how little you actually get from that. And a couple of 5 mutilisks coming out, and I'm wondering if that sound is going to be too loud. It might be too loud, but I'll talk a little bit louder to make up for that. Those Hellions really doing quite a bit of damage, and we do see that blue flame, I should say, coming down. Is that another armory? Wow, okay, 2 armories, so he's really going to go for this mech style. He has a couple of tech labs on 2 factories so far. Going to be pumping out siege tanks and Thors quite a bit, as well as Hellions out of, as well as Hellions. He is getting another factory, another 2 factories in fact, as well as some missile turrets. Some pretty nice timing on those missile turrets, as those, where are they? Those mutilisks just did pop out. This queen with quite a bit of energy could probably be spreading creep a little bit better, but he is spreading creep through this middle very nicely. And still that another factory coming down and building supply depots, pretty standard stuff. And we see the reserve ground carapace level 1 coming down, as well as Terran weapons level 2, vehicle weapons level 2, and vehicle plating level 1. So really committing to this very heavy mech style. Let's see how well it pays off. We don't see this a lot from our Terran buddies, but of course the siege tanks are going to be doing very well against Zerglings and Banelings, and the Thors of course doing very well against mutilisks. So we do see Burrow coming down. Not sure how Stephano is going to want to use that Burrow, as he has mostly Banelings and Zerglings. He might try for some Baneling bombs, but we'll see. We'll see if he's going to try to maybe make a tech switch to roaches and use that Burrow. That might be a very good thing to do. But we'll just have to see. So a couple more simulators coming down at this second expansion, I should say, for Stephano, his 3rd base in total. And he's getting some decent saturation there, as well as that very much needed gas. He is building a lot of mutilisks, and those of course require quite a bit of gas. So these Mutalisks poking and doing a little bit of damage, but of course missile turrets and Thors will indefinitely hold off Mutalisks.